Welcome back to another Titan Bros video. Today, Josiah and myself are going to be breaking down our takes on our entire free agency class of 2023 now that they have a year under their belt. So as I said earlier, welcome back. Josiah and myself are going to be rating these players on a couple different scales. Productivity, price, and just other little factors. Injuries can kind of, not necessarily be their fault. Things like that. So there's a couple different things that we're going to put in the little grading system. We're going to give them like a letter grade. So that's what we're going to do. And some of them, I didn't get like all of them, just like these no-name defensive tackles that came in to replace Jeffrey Simmons at the end of the year, whose names I don't even remember. There are some people like that I didn't actually include on the list. But these are the main ones, the big ones, the folk you'll know, the casual fan will know. But yeah, it's going to be a great video. I'll welcome in. And what's up, buddy?
How's it going, though, buddy, old pal?
It's going. It is going. Anything else? Any intro? Any greetings you want to give out, or you just want to go ahead and just hop right on into this puppy?
I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. So let's jump right in.
Okay, me too. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump to the first one, which I think we pretty well both know exactly how this one's gonna go. And I didn't write down the numbers. I should have wrote down how many years, how much they're getting paid. I think I know a very close ballpark type answer, but I didn't write them down exactly. Number one, Andre Dillard. He was a 3-year, $29 million deal. Sorry, but I cannot give this anything other than an F. Maybe that's being too harsh. It was the worst, maybe the worst tackle play I've ever seen. Either that or Dennis Daly or what's that guy we drafted in the 6th round? Yeah, Duncan. Yeah, one of those three. Probably Dillard. Maybe Duncan. I don't know. Awful left tackle play. And the fact he's making $10 million a year. And this is something I said to you not on the channel, but I said to you in person. Taylor Lewan got cut and was making a little over $14 million a year. And then we give almost $10 million a year to Andre Dillard.
Yeah, and
maybe we should just coughed up the extra 5 and just let Lewan stick around.
Yeah, in my opinion, I always thought Taylor Lewan was, you and I always disagreed with this, but I always thought he was just a bit, not over, like a big time, just a little bit overrated. But there's no way to say that he was nowhere close to Andre Dillard. Like, Lewan was still good. I just don't know if he was great. Dillard and Daly and Duncan has been horrible. Like, I can't believe we're finding tackles this bad. But in this specific case that we're talking about, Andre Dillard was awful. I couldn't stand seeing that guy on the field. It was F. If there's something to give that's worse than F, I would do it. Like, he was so unbelievably bad. Couldn't stand seeing him. 3 years. You know what I hate? I hate that he's still on our team. I wish it was a 1-year deal. No, that's what I hate. So if I could grade this worse than F, I would do it. I think this by far. Well, I mean, we have to look through the whole list, but in my opinion, is probably the worst signing we did.
Yeah, I agree. And not just that, but there is a 99% chance that we're going to cut him. I hope we cut him. But here's the thing. We're still going to be paying for him some way. Still going to count towards the cap this year and the next.
Terrible draft.
I don't know if there's void years afterwards or anything. But I would say he's gone because it's all but proven in the court of law that that Andre Dillard was a Mike Vrabel signing. Mike Vrabel's like, I think I can fix this guy. Not really sure why a defensive-minded head coach. Yeah, he didn't. Not sure why a defensive-minded head coach thought he could fix a struggling first-round tackle, but
and I would say with him and other people, being in first round is a good thing because you just get another chance, and a lot of times another chance, even though you have nothing to prove that you can play. If you're a first-round pick, you get so many chances.
I agree. If Andre Dillard was a 5th-round pick, there's
Yeah.
no way. Like he would have, if he got drafted in the 5th round by the Eagles instead of the 1st round, he just would have come in, never even really gotten a shot to start, and then he would have hit free agency, and maybe someone would have thrown $1 million at him to bring him in for depth.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason I would have ever made this. Jump back to the original conversation. The only reason I would have ever made Dillard anything more than an F is if it was like a 1 year, $3 million. That would be like, you know what? We brought him in for cheap.
Can you be worse than F?
Yeah, he'd be like D plus. No, he'd be like a D plus. Nothing good. But it's like we just threw a little money at a former 1st-round pick for a year. It didn't work. It is what it is. D plus. But because it was a 3-year and we're gonna be paying for him, even if we cut him this year, we're still gonna be paying for him for the next 2 years. There's nothing but an F there.
Yeah, disaster. Go ahead.
Disaster. Awful. All right, there is no particular order I have going here. I just kind of have stuff written down. It says you're typing in our group message here. He just said I was ugly. He literally just says you're ugly.
You can't.
I just exposed you.
You did exactly. Exposed me right in front of everybody.
All right. So with that said,
let me go first on the next one.
Yeah, Trevon Wesco.
Oh,
we may have a different order because I kind of forgot it. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I forgot about this guy who I just kind of wanted to quickly get over. So I forgot about him, so I add him at the end. So we'll hit him and then we'll go back up to the top.
Okay. How's it going?
Sorry, my heater's trying to turn off, and you know how heaters like space heaters are blowing cold air right before they turn off. So suddenly it's shooting cold air up my britches leg, and that didn't feel pleasant.
Okay. All right, Wesco, you said?
Yeah, Trevon Wesco.
He was bad. What was his contract? Let me know.
I think it was a 1-year veteran minimum.
Okay, so
he's all gone. It was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm not gonna say F1 because I don't know if he was that bad, but he's 1-year deal. He didn't cost that much at all. He's gone. He's history. But he wasn't a good catching tight end. He wasn't a good blocking tight end. Like, this is 2 blocking tight ends now in a row that we've had that wasn't good at blocking. I mean, I'm okay with having a tight end that that's your job is to block. But we need to be good at it, please.
Yeah, Jeff Swaim was average blocker, pointless in the passing game. Wesco was literally don't even let him run a route in the passing game, and his blocking was like a little bit of a liability.
He was nothing for us, but he was bad. I'm gonna say D minus.
I was gonna say D, a flat D. Which as of now, it just so happened to be this way, but it's kind of looking like we're being very harsh on Rand Carthon.
Well, we'll see.
I mean, but they were bad. They were bad signings.
Yeah, bad signing.
Right, at least the Wesco one was a low risk, and that's the only reason I didn't give it an F. Like, because if we just gave the guy $8 million for no reason at all, then that would have been an F as well. All right, so next one on the list, we'll go to Azeez al-Shire.
Which took me back the whole season to know how to pronounce his name, but go ahead.
Yeah,
I just began to start saying it correctly in the last couple of weeks of the season.
We're not talking about whether we want to re-sign him necessarily, because that's going to be a whole new video in of itself of free agents, because like for al-Shire is a 1-year deal, so he's going to be on that video. We signed him a 1-year, $5 million deal. I liked Azeez al-Shire, and here's something I've said. Not every player can be a superstar. Sometimes you just need solid starters where they're not old and over the hill, where they're not young, green, and making bad young people mistakes, where they're just like career-wise, middle-aged career-wise, not breaking the bank, and they're just a solid player. To me, that's what Azeez al-Shire was. I think he was solid for only $5 million. I liked him. He missed more tackles than I wanted to, but he did also lead our team in tackles as well for only $5 million. Like, he was better than Rashaan Evans has been.
I agree. I liked. Did you give a grade?
For Azeez, I'll give him a flat B. I want to kind of give him a B plus, but he did just miss some tackles.
Here's the thing. Okay, what I say about him, I agree with you. He missed some tackles, and I feel like that's a big deal when you're a linebacker. 1. 2, it's a big deal because I think our defense as a whole was just bad tackling last year. Too many big plays happened because we just couldn't tackle, and he led the the charge and missed tackles. I didn't like that. Again, especially as linebacker. But like you said, he got paid $5 million. He was definitely worth it. He was definitely passable. I would give him a B minus. It's just, I just like my linebackers to make tackles, but I like the effort. You couldn't deny that he was gonna give you effort. Now he also wasn't afraid to do a boneheaded penalty. He did that a
He
lot.
did do that. I think he did it to Derek Carr in week 1 just to start off, where it was just a stupid roughing the passer.
He did several roughing passes, and I know he did a couple of just I'm not say roughness, and Thomas, that kind of goes with sometimes when you play with
aggression.
intensity, yeah, but still. But I'm gonna say B minus. He was definitely passable. You can't have a star stud in every position, like you said. If we sign him back, we'll talk about this later. If we sign him back, I would not cry. I would not be upset. And I would say, okay, that's a decent position. I'm not gonna say he's great, but he was passable. And for 1 year, $5 million, definitely was good. So I would say B minus.
Now, if he goes somewhere else and has a 1 year, $2 million deal, I'm like, why couldn't we have paid him $2 million? Yeah. So moving on to the next one, we have Arden Key. This is probably the hardest one for me to grade, because 8, 9, maybe even 10 weeks into the season, I would be giving him like a D. He was basically a ghost minus week 1. But then at the very end, like the last maybe 7 games or so, he really started really racking up his sack total. He ended up with 6, it says. I thought it was 7. But he ended up with 6 on the season.
What was his contract?
His was a 3-year deal as well. So we actually have him for 3 years.
We still have him?
Yes, it's 3 years, $21 million. So basically $7 million a year, which is almost the exact same contract we gave Danico Autry 3 off seasons ago.
I like Autry better, but yeah.
I like Autry a whole lot better. But Arden Key. Is it your turn to go first?
Actually, it is.
So go ahead.
You can think about it. You look stressed over there. I'll say with me, on Key, man, that's a close one. And this is going to sound a little dramatic, maybe. He's a C or a D plus. Like, he's passable, or he's just barely like, we could do better with that. Scrap it, do better than that. He had a good week 1, and he ended up doing decent at the end, but he was not consistent. He was not, it's like way too many games. I don't mean just a couple games. I mean way too many games. He was non-existent. Didn't even, don't
even know if he got a hurry.
Yeah, it didn't have a hurry. He was just non-existent, and that's just not good enough. Because I think we both could say, I think we was disappointed with our pass rush, and not
there was
the sack total. And like, if you look at the sack total, we wasn't horrible. But getting to the quarterback's not just sacks. You know what I mean? Is rushing the quarterback, and our quarterbacks that we went against had too many plays of just standing there, just patting the ball, had all the time.
Yeah. I don't remember if I said this during a video or if I just said it to you, but I feel like our entire pass rush was Vic Beasley, where they either get a sack or they're not even there. Like the quarterback just stands there all day long.
I agree with that.
And
that problem. So I'm going now. More I'm talking, but $7 million is not horrible. It's not, but I still would like to see a little more out of him. So I think I'm gonna go with a D plus.
I'm gonna be a little more positive. I'm gonna say C.
Okay.
I'm gonna say C. But the
biggest issue, 2 sacks or a sack and a half in week 1.
Sack and a half.
It
should have been 2.5 because there's that fumble. Should have been returned for a touchdown.
He went off in week 1. He went off, and then you just think about the sacks he had after that, and what was it, 16 games basically? That's horrible. Yeah. That's actually terrible. I'm talking myself.
17 games.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
I was subtracting.
Oh, you mean like subtracting the first one? Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm saying C. I could talk myself into a C minus. My biggest issue with Arden Key is, I was saying how you can't have superstars everywhere, and that's why I liked about Aziz al-Shire, is like he was $5 million, but he's a starter. But Arden Key, sometimes I feel like he's not starter material.
No, I agree with that completely.
Like I feel like he might need to be like almost like a third down pass rusher, where you only play him on third downs. He comes in, pins his ears back, uses that because he's crazy. He's got lots of energy. He's the juice guy.
No, I agree.
And yeah, if you could just send him out and have like a first and second down pass rusher, because he's also not really popping in the run game at all.
No.
So the fact that he's just our starter, I'm a little like,
Yeah.
maybe we'll replace him. Let me put it this way: if we ended up going after a high-priced edge rusher, do I think it's a top need? Not necessarily, but if we did and knocked Arden Key down a notch, I would be okay with that. So C, I'm going C minus. I think I've talked myself into a C minus, which we are still being very, very
Yeah, because the only person I gave a passing grade is al-shire, and he's B minus. All right, so Daniel Brunskill.
Now that's one I will give it a straight B to. It would be a B plus, but he got hurt like a little bit past halfway, or maybe halfway through the season, and he was literally just in and out, in and out. And when he was in, he wasn't the same. But at first, he was just being a very solid right guard for us. He was literally our second best offensive lineman, and I think it was like a two-year $5 million deal. So he's only costing about 2.5 on average a year for last year and then this coming year. You know, I've seen a lot of people saying that we should cut him, and if we cut him, we'll say like 2 million. I'm like, not sure that's worth it. But anyways,
no, that's not worth it at all.
No, so I think he's solid. So like if he's the worst member on our offensive line, then I think our offensive line will be much improved. So now we're not supposed to be talking whether or not to keep him. I guess technically he won't be part of that video anyway because he's already under contract for the upcoming season. So yeah, so I'm against cutting him if that's what the decision has to be made. If nothing else, a lot of people say he's like a coach in pads, so he's good for the offensive line in that respect as well.
We need someone to coach us better than last year.
Hoss as they call him. I'm like, what are we doing?
I would give him a B, a solid B. So he's gonna be my top so far. To B, he was good. Like you said, when he got hot, he was not the same when he was playing, and then he was in and out, and like you said, I would maybe give him an A minus, maybe halfway through the season. But then he got hurt, and he just wasn't the same. So the last times I saw him, he was not playing good when he was in, and he's that special. I'm not gonna say that he's a definitely a Hall of Fame, a Pro Bowl guard or nothing. I'm not gonna go that far, but I'll say he was good. He was all right when he was healthy, and that's fine. If everyone on your offensive line, all 5 of them is good, then you got a good offensive line. So I'm okay with that. So B, give him a good solid B.
All right. This is like a trio, because these were people that were free agents of our own. 2 of them we put tags on. 1 of them he tested free agency. The market wasn't there, and we just brought him back. That was Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And then it was Aaron Brewer and Tierre Tart is the ones that we tagged. So it's like technically they're free agent additions. Well, actually, let's not even talk about Tart and Brewer because they never reached free agency. Okay. So I guess we'll just talk about NWI because his contract had expired. Him and his agent were trying to find work elsewhere. No one was. I'm gonna give this one a.
Let me start.
Yeah, your turn. Go ahead.
C. If you know what he is, he's good. If he's a number 4, maybe 5 receiver, and he does that well. He can do that well. He has games where he plays well and he gets touchdowns and a big play here and there. I like him. I like him a lot. He had a lot of good plays, I can remember in this season. But he's not a 1. He's not a 2. And
the problem is he's spent a lot of time as the number 2 or 3 over the last couple of years.
But preferably he's not a 3. But if you have him in the right spot on your roster, then he's fine. Not gonna go crazy on it. So I give him a C.
Yeah, he had 370 yards and 3 touchdowns. With Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, I just saw a name that I forgot about. I'll have to add in there. But anyways, with Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, he did end up missing, I think, 3 or 4 games with injury. And like we said, he's a good number 5 wide receiver who can make special teams value or have special teams value as well. It wasn't his fault. Over the last 3 years, he kept getting thrust into roles that were a little bit, out of his range. I think I'll still give him a C, like you said, because I think we only gave him like 1.5 million, so it's not like we broke the bank for him. I'll give him a C plus, C. I'll go C plus, just because, and this just kind of goes back to almost more like his body of work as opposed to just last year, because he's been there. He's been, besides last year where he missed the end of last year, he's been healthy, and that's hard to find these days in a Tennessee Titan organization. So, and I appreciate everything he's done. He's probably gone though, because he's definitely a Vrabel guy.
Yeah.
Like he was a Vrabel guy. Aaron Brewer's a Vrabel guy. There's people that Vrabel just likes. And now if Vrabes is gone, then I'm sure he's going to be gone as well. So thank you for your service, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, but you're a C to C plus player. It's time for you to move on. Time for us to move on. Amen? Okay. I'll go ahead and throw in the one I forgot.
Chris
his
Moore.
name. Chris Moore. Yeah, Chris Moore. And I guess it's my turn to go first. So I give this one actually a B, because Chris Moore, stat-wise, he was our number 2 wide receiver in yards.
Which is a little sad, though, in itself.
Which is a little sad. He made some actually clutch catches. I think he mossed somebody once, didn't he?
Yeah, I
think
think
he did.
He was good.
He was good.
Kind of.
He was kind of. Yeah, he had no touchdowns. That's weird. Anyways, he had 424 yards. He was a very underwhelming signing at the time, because at that point we didn't have D-Hop yet, so it was looking like Traylon Burks was number 1 and then Chris Moore was number 2 on the flip.
Traylon Burks. That name just sends shiver down my spine.
Yeah, I give Callahan 1 year to fix him, and if he can't, then
get rid of that guy.
Trade him for someone somebody who thinks they're a wide receiver whisperer. Yeah. But yeah, it's Chris Moore. I'm gonna give him a B, because he was literally a veteran minimum contract. I think he's like 1 million, maybe 1 or 2 million is all he was. 424 yards. He was, I feel weird saying this because he's 30 years old. He was one of the only guys who had any kind of speed on offense for us. He even ended up playing some special teams, and even though he a lot of times just fair catch it, he wouldn't fumble it like Eric Garrer or Adoree Jackson or whatever joker we decide to send out there. So I think Chris Moore was good. Like, if we could have Nick Westbrook-Ikhine as our 5 and Chris Moore as our 4, now we're cooking. The only problem is so many games they'd be our number 1s and 2s.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's true.
So, but he was good for a B. It was just like a 1 year, 1 or 2 million deal. I would give that a B.
I'd give him a B. I want to say B minus, but I've been pretty harsh. He was a big play guy. He always, I feel like every catch he got was a big one. Mm-hmm. He did better than I expected. I'll say that, and I'm sure he didn't get cost us that much. And so why not? I'll be nice, and I'll give him a B. Because I'll say this: was I shocked that did he do better than I thought he would? Yes. So why not give him a B?
Give the man a B. All right, let's go ahead and go out to our next one. I wasn't sure if I wanted to include him on this list or on this video, because he technically got traded for. But Nick Folk, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, it's an A. For me, Nick Folk is an A.
He was an A, which is like our best offseason was getting a kicker. He was great. The few games we won was because of him, and very rarely did we lose because of him.
I agree. Now, the only thing, the biggest knock, the only reason I didn't say A plus, is he missed 2 extra points. And you might think, well, what's the big deal about missing 2 extra points? Both those games that he missed extra points, we went into overtime and lost both those games. So, if you wanted to, you could say, if you would have hit him, then, it's possible we would have won 2 more games. At that point, that would have put us at 8 and 9, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But he was 28 of 30 on extra points, so he did miss the 2 extra points. But he was, did you know his kicking situation was like?
Tell me.
29 of 30.
I'll take
he missed 1 field goal. So if it wasn't for the fact that, even if he would have just knocked 1 of those extra points off, if he would have missed 1 field goal and 1 extra point, I would have given it an A plus.
Yeah, he did well. Give the man an A.
Give the man an A. Good stuff from good old Nicholas Folk.
He looks like he's 50, but good job.
He looks so stupid old. Oh, bless his heart. All right, I'm going to drop down one more. We got 2 more peeps left on the list. Sean Murphy Bunting. I'll go ahead and give you the stats on him. He was a 5-year. Nope. $5 million 1 year. Very literally almost exact same contract as Aziz al-Shire.
Man, I'll give him a C. He could have been better. He could have been worse, but he got cooked a lot. But he made
was
some plays
boomer
for us.
bust.
Yes, he was, and that's the thing. So I'm just gonna give him an old-fashioned C. I'll say that we could definitely do better than him, but at the same time, we got nobody right now. So
it's another one of situations like the Chris Moore, like Nick Westbrook-Akina, like Robert Woods last year, where they would be fine if they just moved down a little bit on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Like Bunting should have been our second best corner, maybe third best corner, but he was probably the best on our team. McCreary's kind of hard to say because McCreary's a slot guy.
Yeah.
But he was our best outside corner, and Bunting was not meant to be our best. That was supposed to be Fulton. But so that's why, because I'm gonna give it a B minus.
He got cooked a good bit though.
He did. He got a couple picks and a couple good breakups.
The picks is why he's a C, but he got cooked a good bit.
Yeah, boomer bust.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
you have your opinion, and I have mine.
Yeah, and here's the thing: I would rather him be boomer bust as opposed to Fulton, who just stands 30 yards back and lets him catch it, and then he tackles him after a 15-yard gain. So I'm like, I would rather either break it up or just get cooked and let the safety come in and clean up, as opposed to just literally give him the easy throw that Fulton or Gar or Trey Avery or anyone else gives them. So that's why. And who knows? Maybe it's a scheme issue. So hopefully the Giants get to enjoy that because Shane Bowen went down to New York to be the DC. Hopefully Denard Wilson doesn't do that. Denard Wilson was a very good secondary coach. Hopefully he understands you can't line up 10, 12 yards back, especially when it's 3rd and 5.
I would say this, though. The last, 5 defensive coordinators we've had has done that. So we'll see if he'll be the one to change it.
Last 5. I think it takes us back to like 2007. But
yes.
Yeah. So
the next one.
The last one.
And the next one
would be DeAndre Hopkins. I give this one an A minus. Things I like about it is it was a 2-year deal. Like, if you think about it, if it was a 1-year deal we gave him, what's our wide receiver room look like?
Oh my goodness.
Burks is our number 1 and Kyle Phillips is our number 2 because literally all of the other wide receivers were 1-year deals. Like, we would have not just a need at wide receiver, but we need a number 1 wide receiver. We need a number 2 wide receiver. We might even need a number 3 wide receiver.
It's pathetic.
It is pathetic. So I like the fact
still kind of is.
Still kind of is. I agree. Because, like, in my opinion, we need to draft one high and go after a bigger name in free agency. Because sadly, Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips, you can't, depend on them. If they develop into something, that's nice. That's great. But at that point, that'll just be.
But neither of the two looks like they can be even healthy enough to develop anything.
Yeah. Of course, Kyle Phillips has been a healthy scratch a lot at the end. That was kind of irritating me too, which we shouldn't have to worry about that with no more Vrabes anymore.
Yeah. But
go ahead.
No, D-Hops, I'll give him. Sometimes it's about meeting. Like, what did I expect from the playoffs? Did they surpass that, or they blow it? And to be honest, he blew it out of the water. What I thought he would be like 800 yards. How many did he end up with?
I think 1,050.
Yeah, I didn't expect.
He had 8 touchdowns as well.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all. I didn't expect 1,000 yards. Now this is the sad thing. I was hoping 800 from Hopkins and 1,000 from Burks.
I was thinking there's a chance that Burks would get 1,000, and I feel so.
Well, you and I have to say we was completely wrong with him. We really thought this was a year that he was going to show everyone that he was good.
I mean, he was just alpha dog all off season long.
And then
turns out he's just going against Sean Murphy Bunting. I think
not
Sean Murphy, Christian Fulton. Yeah.
But anyway, so I'll kind of give him an A. I could almost do A+, but again, he just barely got 1,000. It wasn't like he was like 1,200 yards and 1,300. I would do A+ for that. So I'm gonna give him an A because he did do better than I expected him to. And not just contract is not too bad.
No.
So I'll give him an A+.
And not just that, but there were things I'm gonna go ahead and up it to A as opposed to an A- because here's things that were out of his control. Tannehill tanked.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Tannehill. Father time, I suppose. Had a half a game with Malik Willis, who's pointless. And then suddenly the second round rookie Will Levis gets thrown into the mix, and he's still able to get. I just looked at 7 touchdowns with 1,056 yards.
The thing I would say is Hopkins has done that his whole career. He's played with.
Almost feel bad for him.
Yes. Yeah,
like imagine if he would have like at 27 years old, 26 years old, went and played with Brady in New England. He would have been 1,700 yards.
People could be looking at him a little bit differently, like one of the top receivers ever. But sadly, because he's got these numbers with a bunch of no-namers, so
like Tom Savage, Brock Osweiler.
He should have just stuck with Kyler Moore, if you ask me. But that's just my opinion. But also,
they cut him. He didn't really get a chance. A choice. They just cut him.
One thing that about him though is, and it still irritates me because I'll say he did it with us, and I'm like, refs, what are you doing? He literally so obviously pushing people away, and I will still say he does that. I will not change my tune. There was some plays that he got away with, like Will Levis, one of his first bomb touchdowns. He literally grabbed the guy and just threw him. Like it wasn't like it's iffy. No, threw the guy. How does he get away with that? And like somehow it annoys me, and it still does. As a Titan, it annoys me. How does this man get away with this? I do not understand. I like every other receiver would be called for that. He has pushes all the time, and he never gets called. It's obvious. It's not like he's sneaky. It's not sneaky. How does he get away with this?
Thousands and thousands. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people watching. Got cameras. He's like, I don't care. They're grabbing this guy's shoulders, put him in a spin cycle, and I'm going to run him down the field.
He pushes him. He spins him. He does everything. Whatever he has to do to get the ball, and they never call stuff on him ever. And I would say, yes, it hurts a little bit because he did. How many times did he do that with us? And I'm just yelling on the TV. I'm like, that's a push off. And they went to us, and then we reaped the benefits of some of that. But still want to know how he did it. But with that being said, I give him an A. Yeah. Hey, he gets open, right?
He does. He does get open one way or another.
Yep.
But the last thing that kind of elevated me from an A- to an A is who else did the defense have to cover?
Yeah, and that's
when you got literally a bunch of mostly useless individuals at wide receiver. How are you still letting DeAndre Hopkins get open? So obviously DeAndre Hopkins had to, a 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. We're not talking about peak performance, 26, 27-year-old. So that's another testament to him. He's growing old very gracefully. Makes me feel a little smarter because before the season started, I was wrong on a lot of my Titans takes going into this year. I guess the 2023 season. I never know if I should say this year or last year. But anyways, but one thing I was correct in, and why I said I wanted Hopkins and why I was excited about Hopkins, I said his skill set ages well. So the fact that he was able to, and yeah, so I was right that time because he was still able to use just crafty route running, savvy moves, big catch radius, push offs, whatever.
Spin cycle.
Well, let's call it the celebrity push offs because if he was just a random dude doing that, he wouldn't be able to get away with it. But so I think that's about it. I think we have a good blend of a couple A's, an F and a D, and then everything else is kind of C's and B's.
I would say if I was given it as a whole, I would, if I'm feeling generous, I'd do a C+, but it's close to a C because I feel like I have a lot of people that's like slightly below C. I have a lot of people slightly above C. So I feel like it probably all evens itself out to free agency was a big old C.
I'm going to say
the only A, I had, I guess, Nick Folk, but DeAndre Hopkins and Andre Dillard's like the major one side to the other, but then everyone else is kind of scrunched together in the season. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I would give him a B-.
Okay.
Because there were several B's. Oh, there's one more guy I wanted to throw in, and this will take 15 seconds. And I almost could do in A because not NA, but N/A.
Not available.
Yeah, or not applicable, however you want to say it. I'm forgetting what the guy's name was.
Wow.
Chris. He played right tackle.
I don't know, Chris.
Hubbard. There we go. Chris Hubbard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because here's the thing. He was on his way of being a B+. He was playing some pretty good football. Started going downhill, and then he got hurt and was out for season.
Yeah.
So it's like part of me says he was flirting around with a B+, but then he kind of started going from B plus to B, oh, B minus, and then he got hurt and he's out for season. So I don't know, but he's also 33 years old, so he was 32.
Don't know if I want to sign him back, to be honest.
Only his backup swing tackle would be the only
yeah.
thing. But
NPF looks like he's not gonna work out either. I mean, I know he's not a free agent, but I was hoping he might be something, but he doesn't look like he.
We'll give him 1 year with Bill Callahan. See what old Billy Callahan can do with him.
Yeah.
But as I was gonna say is reasons I curve Rank Carthon's free agency as a B minus is because of people like Chris Hubbard, Nick Folk, DeAndre Hopkins, al-Shire, Brunskill, Chris Moore. Did I say Chris Moore? Those I thought were solid. Had some that was like with Arden Key, with the Dillard, obviously, as we spoke about earlier. And some other ones I'm just like, But then the one reason why I decided to keep it in the B range, B minus, maybe even just a flat B, is because he went in with negative 30 million. So the fact that we were able to even sign anybody is incredible.
Yeah.
So. Got anything else there, partner?
No, I think we're good. This is why, I mean, I get your argument with that he didn't have much to work with, and you're right about that. But I'll say this:
negative.
We was worse this year than we was last year. So something went wrong, and I blame him for part of it. Vrabel maybe a little bit, but I blame he was strapped, but there's just you gotta blame somebody. There's a reason why our team is worse this year than last year, and free agency wasn't good enough / draft, I guess, but. That's why I can't say much. B, I go C, so I'm not saying he's failed it, but I think a B would make us better than a 16-win team. Anyway, that's my opinion. You can agree with my opinion. You could agree with his incorrect opinion. It's up to you.
I still say we were so bad because Tannehill fell off a cliff, and our offense line was pointless.
It was pointless, but
I mean, if you can't score points, then what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You do in football games. You don't really score many points ever.
That's kind of the idea of the football.
It kind of is. But let's not jump into any bigger, deeper conversations. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Is there anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
Nope, I don't believe so.
All right, I think our next video is going to be us doing the same thing we just did, but with the draft class as opposed to the free agent class. So make sure you join us. Titan Bros are signing out, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.